Yeah, crypto friends, the show starts now. Welcome to the Weekly Roundtable, where the takes are hot and FOMO set to disable. Welcome to the Weekly Roundtable, where friends are made and we all drink that red maple. Break. Juan's got his eyes on the latest somehow. We being forex that make you go wild. Crypto crazy is a man on a mission like a Tesla. He most def got a vision. Weekly Roundtable, we got no cables predicting.
All right, guys. Is this time different? We're going to be discussing that today. We have charts to back up a couple of theories that we have and data to maybe prove that this time is indeed actually different. Don't forget, nothing on this stream is considered financial advice. It is strictly for entertainment and educational purposes only. Say here is legit. We are not financial advisors, obviously. Okay, I'm going to bring up the panel this week. We have Juan G and Terry Motive. How are you gentlemen doing this week?
Hey, good evening, guys. Fired up. Another great week in crypto.
Great. Yeah, it's certainly been exciting this week.
That's one way to put it. Okay, also, we'd appreciate if you could watch it right to the end. We do have some information or additional information on our Valley Wallet giveaways that we're going to be doing. Okay, so we will get right into the charts without, don't want to make this go any longer than we have to. We want to get through these charts quick so that way we can get right to the meat and potatoes of the video. Okay, here we go. So here's the Bitcoin chart. Currently, we are sitting at 96,822. But we've been following the 200 DMA. Obviously, we've been holding it as support for quite some time, and we actually did break below it, and we've been rejected off of it a couple of times here, which not going to lie, it's not the greatest, but I'm sure as long as we keep trending up, we have been making higher lows down here on the bottom on these capitulation wicks, which is a bright spot. We'll have to follow this. We are going sideways, kind of between these zones, the sell zone and buy zone here. As long as we don't, continue on a downtrend like we have been, things are looking good. Even if we come back down into this liquidity zone, I'm okay with that. It's been a really, really good level of support. But I'd like us to see get back up to this 200 DMA as support. But we'll have to wait and see. The USDT chart here. I was looking at it yesterday, and I thought, oh no, this is not very. Especially when we had that capitulation, there was a lot of people were going down or exchanging their crypto into stables. So we wicked pretty high here, almost at 5%. But then when I read the news that USDT had actually printed, I believe it was $1 billion, yeah, and USDC printed 250K. So when I saw that, it eased my concerns a little bit. That just means there's more USDT in the market, and we are slowly coming down. If we can get back below this, resistance now, support again, if we can get back below, then that looks good for altcoin season. And then, of course, Bitcoin dominance as well. As you can see here, that wick, that's just a crazy wick. We shot up to a cycle high of, what was that, 64.3%. That was insane. For anybody that was in crypto, I'm sure you were freaking out, just like a lot of other people were. Your altcoins were losing, 20, 25, 30, 35% and more, depending on what it was, especially meme coins. They took a really big hit, but it has since come down. But we're kind of, the previous support is once again support. And we drew these possible scenarios out a few weeks ago, and it looks like we did break to the upside. Hopefully we don't retest this as support and then bounce back up. I'd like to see us break through and come back down to this prior resistance turned support, and of course eventually go all the way down and bring on the altcoin season. But as I mentioned, alts got killed. For example, Ethereum was one that got hit pretty hard. We did break down from this liquidity zone. We broke structure. We did have a bit of a I guess you can call it a bullish flag or a sideways descending channel, but we broke down out of it. And I believe we did the same thing with, see if I can find it here, XRP, right here. So yeah, we had this descending channel here, which we broke out of, retested, shot up, created this bull flag, but we broke to the downside. XRP actually did come down quite far as well, $1.77. from a local high of, what was that, 292. So that took a pretty good hit. I think, what was the other one that Solana as well did the same thing. You know, we had a local high of 295 and went all the way down to 175. So that's, 35 or so percent dip. But I mean, that does happen in bull runs. It's nothing unusual. We do have these 20, 30, sometimes more percent dips to kind of reset the market. A big part of that as well was we needed to get rid of the leverage in the market, both on exchanges as well as platforms where there was borrowing, lending, that sort of thing. There was way too much leverage in the market, and that definitely got flushed out. Juan and I mentioned it on Monday that the market makers and Binance and Coinbase were up to their old tricks. They were, sending their funds to the market makers they were selling, causing the liquidation, the cascading effect, and then bought back in lower. It's part of the game. It always happens. You just have to be prepared for it by not using too much leverage and always have a little bit of cash on the side. And when you are in profit, especially when your favorite tokens have, pretty good runs, take a little bit of profit off the top. That way, you got some skin out of the game. You've made some profits. And B, when we do have events like we did the other day, you have a little bit of extra funds that you can put back in at lower prices. But we always preach that on this channel. It's just up to you guys if you listen to our advice. Oh, not our advice, or not financial advice, but what we do is what I should say. Okay, moving forward, I'll get back to the Bitcoin chart in a second here, boys. But moving forward, we have the ETF inflows and outflows. I do want to make that a little bit bigger so everyone can see. Today we have a slight outflow, 37 million, which is peanuts, but we've had quite a few days of good inflows, especially last week, which obviously it does not coincide with the Bitcoin price. But as I said, that was the manipulators and the market makers having their little bit of fun and making some money on the side. But inflows are still doing pretty well. Outflows are far and few between, but they get swallowed up pretty much the next day. Okay, the rainbow chart, we haven't shown this one in a while. I thought I'd show this today because we have been going sideways for quite some time, still in the hodl zone. So, status quo there. I mean, once we get in the upper bands here, that's when obviously profit taking would be recommended. But right now we're still in the zone where it's good to accumulate and obviously hodl. Last one I want to go through. Here's the CBBI. We are currently at, give this a refresh, 74. Yeah, we are at a 74. So everything's looking good there. Nowhere near cycle top according to all of these cycle top indicators anyway. So we'll have to see how, get that rid of, okay. So we'll mention that as well. So let's go back to the Bitcoin chart, gentlemen, and we will discuss what we are thinking could possibly happen in the coming week and weeks to come. I'll start off with Juan. Is there anything you're seeing on the chart that you could want to let viewers know?
Great stuff on the chart, to be honest with you. When you kind of look, it looks like it's still on this like weird ascending triangle thing. So kind of signaling that we're going to be continuing on our way upward. It just really depends if the resistance is going to hold, right? I'm a little concerned that it kind of slowly traded a little bit under the EMA, but it's not trading below resistance, below support. So that's great. So again, we just continue this trend upward. So seeing getting back to the 100K mark, I think is a good sign for Bitcoin in general. I mean, Bitcoin has a lot of positive news around it. I don't know if you guys heard, but in the Czech Republic, they have officially have a law now that makes holding Bitcoin tax-free as capital gains if you held it for more than 3 years. So I wonder what effect that might have in other European countries. Will they follow suit? Will they feel a little pressure there? Will Czech Republic become like a hub now for other developers? Because again, right, you're holding Bitcoin for so long. All those gains will become tax-free in 3 years. So these are all good things for crypto in general, and hopefully for some type of direction for the market. So, and overall, I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin and crypto in general on what they want to do. It just depends on them. Just depends on the next couple of weeks. February is going to be, it tends to be bullish. So let's continue this trend.
One other thing I wanted to mention before you jump in, Terry, is that I believe Larry Fink from BlackRock, he is heading over to, or he's already there. Actually, he's got to be heading over because he was at a conference today, over to the EU, talking about getting some kind of an ETF done over there, so that will also help.
That's awesome. I mean, that's exciting news, especially for those excited on ETF who wants to get into crypto, but want to kind of get into a safer route to it. ETFs tend to be one of those great entryways into crypto.
Yep. Terry, your perspective.
Okay. Yeah. I'm actually sharing my screen as well.
Oh,
I think
okay.
what we've got right now is
there you
oh,
go.
right on. Thank you. Appreciate it. So Bitcoin threatened this double top up here at 106, right? So it came down, started this sort of flaggy consolidation in this descending channel and broke out of it. And then came up and, like I said, it didn't really hit its target. I mean, may have wicked to it, but a little bit weak there. And I don't believe the volume was really strong, although I don't see that on here at the moment. But it's come back down and it's retesting the top of this channel. So a little concerned by the wick. I think we will see a bounce here. I'm just not sure how high. This is a really, really critical zone to me because it's retesting this descending trend line. Key point here. So the height of the bounce, like I said, I think we are going to see a bounce here, but the height of the bounce is going to tell us an awful lot. What I was expecting to see was something similar to this, actually. You know, it broke out, come back down, retest the top, and then come back and challenge the highs. That's what I would like to see. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to get it. Obviously, there's a lot. We've got inefficiencies down here, major pivots. Do have a double bottom down here at that 92.5 that's kind of defining the bottom of the current range. So could see it dip as low as that. And we talked about alt season too, you know, and I'm not entirely sure about that. I think alt season is a little bit different, but it's really the Bitcoin dominance isn't, right? The Bitcoin dominance has not come down yet. I think that's what we really, really have to see. I'm not sure it's topped, so we definitely need to see the top put in. I want to see the dominance below 50% really before I think also take off.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I will show you some data that I found that, oh, we lost one. I'm sure, oh, there he is, that I found that could support the theory that this time is indeed actually different. And there's valid reasons as to why that is. But we'll go over the new, actually, before I move on, I did want to ask you, gentlemen, what are your, not predictions, but what do you think the markets will do in the coming week that we can expect? I'll start with you, Juan.
When I'm looking at the actual chart and just looking at price action itself, you're not seeing a strong trend down. You see some dojis there that kind of signal that, yeah, there was some downward pressure, but it's not really strong. But too much what Terry said, there isn't, what we're trying to look for is a strong bounce. And that bounce is what's going to make the difference between seeing, hey, we're going to have a challenging high, right, where the challenge is the 106, 108. Or we're just going to have another bounce to 100, 103. And that's really about it. And then maybe go back down to 95, 96 again, right? So, and I think that how we rebound is what's going to make the difference this week. So just keep your eyes on the charts, see how the strength of those candles are. And I think we'll have a better, clearer picture in the next couple of hours or couple of days.
Okay. So you feel we're still going to range pretty much the way we are now. Terry, what about yourself?
Yeah, agreed. I think that we probably will see a bounce this week. We will see a little bit of trending up. Just not sure how strong it's going to be. I would keep an eye on volume.
Okay, fair enough. All right, moving on to some of the news that we have. USDT, as I mentioned in the opening, they printed $1 billion worth of USDT, which could also explain, I'll quickly show my screen here again. We did see the USDT dominance kind of pop up. And, one of the big reasons, like I said, for that is probably because of the printing. If we can see that starting to come down again and Bitcoin price, slowly rising, then this won't be of any concern to me at all. So we can always hope for that. Okay. Now, I didn't even share the screen. Anyway. The other bit of news that I have, FTX repayments begin on February 18th. I know a lot of people have been eagerly waiting for that. There's been rumors that, some of that repayment could enter back into the market. One of the bullish things that I find, one of our favorites, cryptos on this channel other than Bitcoin is Solana, and a lot of the majority of the crypto that was taken or seized or lost, whatever you want to call it, during the FTX collapse was Bitcoin and Solana. So, there's good indication that it could possibly Solana and Bitcoin, be bought up with some of the funds that are repaid from the FTX collapse. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. I didn't actually find out if all of the repayments will be made on the 18th or if they begin on the 18th. But either way, the 18th is a day to maybe watch the markets. It could possibly have a little bit of inflows for Bitcoin and for Solana. Did you guys hear anything else about that, or should I just move on?
I did not, but it makes sense that people would.
Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it would make sense that people would invest in, Solana. Solana's been really, really hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree though that the repayments are going to play a role. I've heard the same thing, but I didn't know it was going to be the full amount or just like the trickling of these funds are starting to trickle in. I don't know if they're going to be broken up into parts, but it's good timing with tax season coming in. These extra payments, it seems almost manufactured, right, to have a successful February. So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, moving on. MicroStrategy has rebranded to Strategy. That's actually their new name. I'll bring this up so we can all see it. Here we go. So they have rebranded from MicroStrategy to Strategy, and they had a press release yesterday. Michael Saylor announced that. I believe they're still going to be, into the chips and the different investment strategies as well. But Bitcoin, as everyone knows, Michael Saylor has been buying Bitcoin like crazy. This is the press release here. Unveils new name, Bitcoin logo, orange color and brand. New website was launched as well. And then they had their earnings call, and that was all yesterday at 5 o'clock. They're going to maintain their ticker on the NASDAQ. So everything's pretty much status quo. I think they're just basically rebranding because everyone knows MicroStrategy now pretty much as the Bitcoin the Bitcoin maxi company, I guess we could say. So that's good news there. And then fine here. Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to mention under today's headlines before we get into our altcoin theories is the crypto conference today in New York, the RWA or tokenization conference, whatever you want to call it. It happened today. BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Chainlink, Ondo, and others were all there. There was a bunch of keynote speakers talking about basically tokenization and adopting blockchain with real world assets. And Juan, you did a little bit of digging on that. Did you have anything to mention about that conference today?
Yeah, so it's a great conference, again, led by John Sachs on discussing the future of cryptocurrencies and what they're going to focus on first. I'm very surprised that they want to kind of tackle stable coins. Right? I think that's an important key thing. I think how they address it is going to lead into the decision-making policies going forward for other crypto assets. But it makes sense, seeming that a lot of exchanges like BNB, for example, they have their own kind of semi-stable coin, and other stables like USDT and how they're regulated is going to play a huge role. And again, they haven't rolled out a plan, but I think they have a commitment to prioritizing stuff like Bitcoin and digital assets first. I think, at this point, being that Bitcoin is so huge, they're going to continue to look forward to how Bitcoin is going to deliver in the next couple of years, right? And what it's going to deliver. Now it's an ETF, so then that has its own regulations and how they're going to move forward. So that's going to be great. Another thing they talked about is the use of digital assets, blockchain technology, and related technologies across different sectors of the economy, and how they can kind of leverage that, whether it's just for speed of transactions. They discussed, small scale voting, right? So that's going to be cool. Again, it's just people forget that blockchain is just not about digital currencies, but it's also an immutable contract. So once it's written, It cannot be unwritten. You can see the changes. You can see who accessed it. So those who kind of utilize it in their space know exactly how powerful these tools are and how they can be used. We also saw more collaboration with other sectors and other business people, again, promoting the crypto industry. And of course, we just mentioned Strategy as one of those companies going into other sectors and kind of pushing the Bitcoin conversation and how they can leverage that for other, for future growth. Again, like USDT, they started leveraging their assets that are outside, of course, right, USDT, to purchase more Bitcoin and make an investment towards the future, and what that plays and how that's going to be, what role that going to play in their future. So really good stuff. I definitely recommend you guys kind of look over the press conferences and see how important I think how they position that, signaling the growth of crypto and the crypto industry is going to be for the future of the country and the planet, and how they utilize it, right? So I'm very excited. I think that, it's very rare to see people in positions that have or decision making positions to make statements about where crypto is going to be, how they're planning for it. It's very rare, and we should just keep our ears to and our eyes glued to whatever news we can get to, so we can get ahead of it, right? And we can take advantage of whatever news. It could be bullish, it could be bearish. We want to take advantage of that. I think right now there's a lot of pressure, for example, like Solana, where they're not seeing they broke below 200, right? And what does that mean for Solana? Are they getting the news they expected? Are people still kind of gearing for that price spiking news? So things like that is going to be very exciting. So to me, February is going to be really, really, really strong, and what they continue to roll out, right? Because again, the administration, it has been rolling out lots of bills and future communications. I think that's going to be huge impact, whether it's positive or negative, right? It's irrelevant to us. We just have to adapt to the news. So I think it's going to be huge on this year, especially in these short months coming up. You're looking at February and March in particular. So let's see how the market reacts. And so far, it's holding. It's good. To me, I wanted to hear more. If you want my personal opinion, I kind of wanted to hear something like, "Hey, we're going to do XYZ, and it's going to launch by this day, or this year, or by the next 2 years." That's what I wanted to hear. I think that would have been more bullish. But
I think that's why the market was volatile. Yeah, because he didn't.
Yeah. And I think everybody else was kind of expecting something similar. So while they are making some commitments and they're putting money where their mouth is, we're not hearing the commitments, right? We're not hearing deadlines. We're not hearing exact precursors to what they want to do in the next couple of, whether 6 months or a year from now. So that's what we're like itching to hear.
Yep. And to add to that, you mentioned that USDT was buying Bitcoin. Also, there's some miners, like CleanSpark is one, and there are a few others who took their profits or quarterly profits and actually purchased more Bitcoin as well, which, from a miner company who mines Bitcoin, that's what they do. And they're actually buying more on top of what they're mining, which is very interesting to me. Everyone's getting as much Bitcoin as they possibly can right now, which is super, super bullish.
I wonder if these people who are mining and are leveraging Bitcoin in the way they do, if they're thinking about now moving to the Czech Republic and get some of this tax-free advantages that they have, and to see if other European countries are going to adopt it.
Yeah, could be. It could be Czech, or it could be where's the other place? El Salvador. It could be anywhere. You're right. But I mean, I think right now companies are in a wait and see mode, because apparently the rumor is, U.S. They're supposed to be either getting rid of or lowering taxes on certain cryptos and projects and stuff. So it's either way, everything is looking like really good for Bitcoin and the crypto space as a whole. Even though right now the price action doesn't show it, everything seems kind of bearish. Sentiment is really, really low. The fear and greed is low. But you know what they say, when things are at their lowest and the fear is at the highest, that's when things just go crazy. So I am sitting patiently, as well as I'm sure you are as well. All three of you, welcome and Stylus, waiting patiently for the next bump in the price action on Bitcoin. And Stylus, how are you doing this week?
Hi guys. Oh my God, it's been the whole week, right? So I am super excited because today I saw the news that BlackRock was buying ETH, and I don't know if you guys discussed it before, but I was super excited because if they are buying, that means that they made these decisions and they're very knowledgeable comparing to me.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's exciting.
I did read that. Yeah.
hmm And also, I really want to thank you guys for your patience because I'm this kind of person who doesn't know anything about crypto. I was reviewing last episode and thinking how many funny things I said, and thank you so much for having me here. Terry, hi. How are you doing?
Good evening. Doing great. Good to see you or hear from you.
So I missed you guys. So everybody is bullish, right? We're in a good mood.
Well, we're always bullish. I mean, it's Bitcoin and crypto, of course, even though the market sentiment may not agree with us, but we definitely are. The What was the last thing I was going to mention? Yes, you had mentioned that BlackRock bought Ethereum. Ethereum. They bought a few others as well. Ondo was one, and Chainlink. But there's a lot of crypto Twitter posts about now is a good time to buy Ethereum. And I mean, if you follow the charts, look at the Ethereum chart, you may not agree with that. But then again, we have been on quite the descending channel, and by all rights, we should at some point break out. Whether or not we're going to, I don't know. Part of what we're going to talk about in a minute here could be a big reason as well why Ethereum has underperformed in this market. So we'll jump right into that. What we're talking about, or what I'm talking about, is Pump.Fun. That is one of the, for those that don't know, meme coins have been a huge part of this cycle. It has taken liquidity out of what would otherwise have gone into Ethereum and other altcoins as well. And the meme coins have been coming out by the thousands ever since Pump.Fun came on the scene. And I'm going to show a chart here. Actually, I'm going to show this one first, just for those that haven't seen it. Okay, this here it kind of shows the top 125 alts, excluding the top 10, as a percentage of Bitcoin's market cap. And then, it shows the May 21 crash. It shows the Terra Luna crash. And then where we are now, we're at the lowest we have been since all the way back here in 2021, when Bitcoin actually broke the all-time high in the last market. Now, down here is the 60-day rate of change. And as you can see, we're currently at the lowest that it has been since, let me go back in the post here. We haven't seen this low since, like I had mentioned, the Terra Luna crash, May 21 crash, and then the breakouts in 2021, or in 2020, sorry. So, it's just showing that altcoins outside the top 10 have not been doing well. Now, this here will support that. It shows this yellow line is when Pump.Fun launched. Altcoins were trucking along, doing their thing, like they normally do. And then once Bitcoin cooled off, what usually happens is the altcoins go up, the top 125 minus top 10. But once Pump.Fun was launched, you can see the Solana TVL just skyrocketed. It absolutely went parabolic, whereas the remaining altcoins did not. They literally have begun a downtrend. And right now, after that capitulation a few days ago, are at the lowest level seen in quite some time, going back, mid 2023. So I think a lot of the altcoin underperformance has certainly been caused because a lot of the liquidity in the TVL has been going into the meme coins and into the Solana ecosystem, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Going into Solana ecosystem, they're into DeFi and a lot of other things other than meme coins, but a huge portion of it has been going into meme coins, and it's just sucked the liquidity out of the regular altcoins, which is unfortunate to see. When we had that capitulation a few days ago, if you notice the price of altcoin A lot of them were dipping quickly, you know, 20, 25, 30%, like we had mentioned. But I was looking at Solana, and Solana at the worst only went down 22% and then recovered very quickly to only down 8% on the day, when all the other altcoins were still, you know, minus 15, minus 20%. So it shows that there's still a lot of strength in the Solana token itself, the ecosystem, and everything around Solana. But a big part of the liquidity drain from the other altcoins is because of Pump.Fund. I believe I have one other chart here I wanted to share. Yeah, here we go. So this kind of will show it all. This is altcoin performance versus Bitcoin measured at Bitcoin bottoms. So right here, this circle area is when Pump.Fund was launched. And as you can see, in previous cycles at this point, in 2017, altcoins skyrocketed, you know, had a bit of a sell-off, and then went up into the actual altcoin season. And then again in 2021, started to go up from this around the same date as Pump.Fund was launched. And then, you know, it went on for its altcoin run. However, this year in black, 2025, they've been going down consistently, the total market cap of altcoins outside the top 10. And that, you know, the majority of the reason for that, as I showed in this previous chart, is because all the liquidity is going into the Solana ecosystem and mainly meme coins because of Pump.Fund. So that is my thesis. It may not be, you know, exactly right, but I mean, it doesn't really, you don't really have to be a rocket scientist to see, just looking at that data, where the money is going and the reason why altcoins have been suffering. You do have your outliers. I mean, there are some that have done really, really well, 2, 3, 4, 5 or more X, you know, which good on them, because for the majority of them, they are good projects and they have utility. But the main market that has pumped so far in this bull market has been meme coins. They're going crazy, and there's so much liquidity in meme coins. So I want to go around the table here, kind of get everyone's perspective on those charts and what they feel could be the reason, in their opinion, why the altcoin season hasn't quite lived up to previous bull markets. Terry, I'll start with you.
All right, yeah. So I think there's basically two problems there. One is dilution, and that is just simply that there's too many tokens, right? Yep. The meme sector is particularly heavy, so it just there's so many to choose from, and that has fed the rotation, this acceleration of the rotation. You know, this season, it seems like the alts are just, or I'm sorry, the memes are just like faster and faster and faster. I mean, it's a couple of days, even the ones that go, you have ones that go to like 100 million, and then they just like grind down. I mean, they have their day in the sun, and then because there's another new bright shiny, there's always another one. And some of them have drawn a lot of liquidity. The other thing is that so some of the liquidity is taken out because you know, people just, some of the projects just dump on you. Some of the projects rug. Some people are just better traders than others. A lot of liquidity. UFD, Unicorn Fartas, that took a lot of liquidity out of the market. Some of the other coins that have been launched recently that have done really, really super well and then crashed out. Yeah. And then a lot of it's just the scammers too, right? Simply the Pump.Fund allowed just anybody can launch a coin for like nothing. Yeah. And so a lot of that with liquidity got drawn away too. And those people aren't putting it back into the ecosystem.
Good perspective. Juan.
You know, I think there has always been a correlation between Ethereum success and all season. And as Ethereum kind of gained, you know, whether it's price action or gained volume, you know, in turn, altcoins kind of followed in suit. And if Ethereum suffered, then you saw the altcoins suffer. And in this case, it looks like, you know, since Ethereum just never kind of got back to its prominence, right? It's never got its back its position. Everybody always thought that the day that Bitcoin hit 100K, Ethereum would be right up there on 8, 9, 10K. And that quite didn't pan out. And I think that has a huge effect on the alt season right now. In addition to that, there's just a lot more altcoins in general, right? When compared to the last bull season. We're not talking about, you know, nearly double the amount of coins. No, we're looking at almost a 5x fold. And that's not including just dumb meme coins that people like to get into, right? So there's only so
Well,
much money.
sorry to cut you off. To put this in perspective, last bull market at the early stages, there were just over 10,000 altcoins in total. This bull cycle, especially recently, there are 10,000 per day being made, including meme coins. So that puts it in perspective.
Right, 100% agree. So there's only so much liquidity to go around, and then there's almost, and I said this last time, there's only so much dumb liquidity to go around, right? Where people just become free liquidity, right? So at the end of the day, people are getting smarter. I think they're adapting to when to come in and when to come out. But at the end of the day, there's only so much liquidity to go around and so many things to choose from. And Ethereum, unfortunately, is just not leading the way. And I don't know if there can be a true altcoin season without Ethereum bumping. And I think that's one of the reasons BlackRock kind of invested it. I think it's time they want to kind of spur on this altcoin season. And they always held a good amount of Ethereum, right? But they kind of want to show this bullishness towards it. I think analysts still have Ethereum hitting 20K. So there's a lot of bullish news around it, but it still hasn't. I think the news of them buying it is what they're hoping kind of sparks the next, decision makers and these liquidity providers and these retail buyers to come in and just say, okay, it's time to invest. But I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, good point. Now, as for Ethereum, you're right. In previous cycles, Ethereum was always the leader of the altcoins. When Ethereum started to run, altcoins ran with it. But that could be another part of the reason liquidity has been sucked out of Ethereum and into the meme coins, and the fact that a lot of institutions are getting into crypto, and one of the only alts to start off with that they were buying was Ethereum. And I think they found out really quickly that transacting on Ethereum is super expensive. They came to a reality quick that we've all known for quite some time, that the gas fees on Ethereum are just outrageous and crazy. And that's another reason why part of the switch from Ethereum to Solana, because with Solana and the DeFi and everything that's on the Solana blockchain, with the fees as low as they are, much more attractive to them than Ethereum, and paying for that outrageous gas fee. So that's another element to it as well. As to the reason why the altcoin season hasn't really come, because it's just everyone is staying away from Ethereum, obviously, by Ethereum's lack of progress, and the money flowing into meme coins as well.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that if Ethereum was also kind of like had this cachet behind it. It's for the wealthy. You bought art with it, so that cachet has also kind of it's lost. The ability for it to kind of present itself in a way that Ethereum kind of attracted a certain clientele, it's also waned. So now how can it make up that volume or that mystique, right? Ethereum was always considered the alternate Bitcoin, but now kind of can easily be passed by Solana, right? BNB. It's just the perception of Ethereum has changed a lot. And I think that's, again, to have it come back, it's going to be an interesting way how they weave it, right? And that's why for those who love Ethereum, I would definitely suggest you keep your eyes on the news around it and who the players are. Look up some contracts and see who the major players are and see if they make any moves. And I think that's my best advice for those who really love Ethereum.
Good point. And don't forget, the whole term altcoins came from Ethereum, because Ethereum was the alternate coin to Bitcoin.
Yeah, not only that, they were in charge of all the smart contracts, right? Before anybody else, Ethereum led the way in smart contracts.
Yeah, they certainly paved the way for the technology and everything when it comes to crypto and smart contracts and onboarding dApps and stuff like that. But unfortunately, they haven't kept up with the times. They haven't updated their tech, and it's hurting them. But we'll see what they do going forward. Now, to Silas, I'm not sure if you have any opinion or want to throw in a couple of 2 cents for us to ponder.
Yeah, I do. I think of this in terms of trends in general, and if we're talking about meme coins right now, what Terry mentioned is that there are so many of them, and there is no substance behind the project. So eventually, we will see that this trend will die out. In our terms, it's a very long trend because some expected 3-year cycle, then it was 4-year cycle, then maybe I don't know right now 5-year cycle, 6. So crypto people already used to have a very fast pace, and they impatiently waited for the next cycle, and this is the problem. But in general, this is a normal thing to have a trend for year and a half, and meme coins are not that long trend, so I believe that eventually it will die out. This trading things, that the meme coin is out, and then almost like in a week it's gone, even with that much liquidity, as Terry mentioned. That will just tire people who are doing this. This trading will not be fun anymore. People will lose a lot of money. They are losing a lot of
Mhm.
money. Maybe sometimes you make money, but most of cases you have no idea what to expect from these coins. And I believe that eventually we will want substance. We will want some kind of business behind it. Like even NFT projects, they had something. They had some kind of roadmaps, utility. It was interesting. What are you investing in? And with memes, you don't even know like what are you investing in. So I believe that this trend will pass, and then liquidity will start to find normal projects. And it's an interesting thought that Juan gave about um, BlackRock inspiring us to get Ethereum right now. I also think that it's not enough for them to make just one purchase like this. They have to somehow do it strategically now to convince people to get back to Ethereum or to get back to crypto. But I'm really sure that everything will finally stabilize, and we will pass this meme coins phase. I'm sure about that.
I'm not sure how much more they can actually do because don't forget there is an Ethereum ETF which BlackRock does facilitate. So I'm not sure how much more of an incentive people need to buy Ethereum, other than that right there should be enough. And you had mentioned that people were getting burned on meme coins. They definitely were. If you didn't keep up with the strategy, because a lot of we'll call them expert meme coin traders, they had a strategy where they would get into meme coins early, right at launch. They would get their 2x and then they would cash out, and then they would wait for the next one that could possibly make them money. Get in that, make their 2x again, get out. So they were just jumping meme coin to meme coin to meme coin. Terry, you alluded to the fact that liquidity would go up to 10, 50, 100 million, and then it would be done. And that's exactly what people were doing. Now, as for scammers, Terry, you also mentioned there was a lot of scammers in the meme coins that were being launched on Pup.Fun, which is absolutely right. There were quite a few. And to that end, there was they're being sued. Pump.Fun is being sued. There's multiple plaintiffs that are suing Pump.Fun for being scammed, exactly, and also to produce because of producing non-securities and not doing KYC and all those other typical paraphrases of crypto. Know your own customer, for those who don't know. So I'm not sure what's going to come out of that, because like literally Pump.Fun was basically a casino, and casinos in most countries are government run. At least they are up here in Canada. So I'm not sure what's going to come of this, but I mean, it's getting into a meme coin or the meme coin space in general is no different than a casino. I mean, you place your ball on red and see what happens, but we'll see what comes out of that case. I'll be keeping an eye on that going forward.
I agree with you. I don't see much of a response. I mean, how do you hold people accountable to that, right? I don't think there's any precedent showing that I'm going to be responsible for what someone else sells in my space, because and get me wrong, I think perception plays a role. For example, let's say Amazon has different sellers, right? They're not just their own. And if that seller kind of screws somebody, right, Amazon's not directly responsible for it. Right now, do they jump in? Yes. Why? Because the perception, right? Because it's linked on their thing, and they want that public perception to always be good, right? But even if someone took them to court, they would just point it to the seller. Hey, he did it. Go after him. And obviously, it's a little different because Amazon knows who the sellers are, right? Because there's a KYC process due to regulations, right? So, but that's a different conversation altogether about, how that's regulated. And to in Silas's kind of point, and maybe even a little bit to Terry's, meme coins will never go away. Nobody gets tired of it. It's the lottery. If you look at how many people spend that dollar, right, in the lottery, it grows every day. It grows every year. The amount of people who play, people don't get tired of it. Even when they get, even when they know they're gonna lose, they still put the money in there. So for me, I don't think anybody will ever gonna get tired of it. They're still hoping and praying. Let me throw this $100. For me personally, if you're gonna throw away 100, it's gonna be gone. Go into binary options. You have a higher chance of doubling it on one trade than you do getting into a meme that's gonna blow up, right? So if you really want to throw away money like that, go into binary. You have a higher chance than these lotto positions. So again, there are just different ways to kind of look at it. But for me, memes will never go away until it becomes difficult for them. And by difficulty, things just have to come in place where people are held responsible for certain actions.
Yeah, no, I agree. Meme coins will never completely go away. Although the TVL meme coins has gone way down, I think people are starting to, some traders, there are obviously a lot that have lost more than they've gained in the meme coin space. I think they might be getting a little bit tired of losing all their money. So TVL is shifting away from meme coins. So let's hope it goes into the altcoins. And
I agree.
Those popping up.
May I add? I actually, I'm sorry if I sounded like I thought that meme coins will go away forever. No, I didn't mean this. I mostly wanted to say that, the trend, the fact that so many people want to trade it will go away eventually because, people will get burnout and people will get more education. Once you lose money once, twice, and realize that, this is not that easy to buy a Lambo, then you start to educate yourself. You get into these different circles. You have people to talk, and you make more educational decisions, educated decisions. And basically, you will not put money in memes like you just suggested. You can find other options to trade your money and to multiply your investments. And that's what I meant. I didn't mean that memes will be gone forever. That would be so sad for Terry. Terry loves them.
Well, I was going to say, Terry, I want to hear your perspective on this because meme coins is kind of I wouldn't say bread and butter, but you do follow them quite intently. And I want to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah, no, I've definitely become a Solana meme specialist over the past several months. I think Silas is right in that I think what'll switch away from the memes is attention. I think the attention will go to utility when that starts getting adopted. And that goes back to the point like Alwan was talking about, the real world assets and stuff. Utility is what drives adoption. And I think this is going to snowball. Right. So you just sort of everything will build on itself when you have those examples out there working. And I think voting is fantastic. I mean, that's just incredible. Imagine that everybody being able to vote like from their phone. Just how great that would that be? Yeah, on the blockchain. Super convenient, auditable, has privacy. I mean, we already have those functions for financial transactions. Right. So the security and the privacy and all that, that's just not a concern. I mean, we already have those functions. So I think that being adopted would be fantastic. It would put a lot of the problems that we've had over the last couple of years to rest, and could save us a lot of money too.
I agree. You know what? I'm pretty confident that is going to happen because then there will never be an issue as to whether or not an election was fair, the vote counts were fair. I think you'd also get results a lot quicker because blockchain, we all know how fast it can be depending on which chain it's on. But I can definitely see that coming to fruition. And speaking of narratives and speaking of RWA, you guys just mentioned it. I think that seems to be, we'll backtrack just a second here a little bit. We all know that in crypto narratives shift and then the TVL will follow those narratives. And I think the meme coin narrative has been front and center in this bull market for quite some time, but now I think it's slowly starting to trickle into other narratives. And I think RWAs, excuse me, seems to be the next emerging narrative. With that conference today, talk about BlackRock purchasing stuff like Chainlink and Ondo and those sorts of things. Now, I wanted to do a little experiment, and I'll do it live on the stream. I'm not sure if anyone else uses Grok, but I found that there we go. I found that it can be useful depending on what you use it for. But I wanted to ask Grok, because this kind of goes right into what we were talking about today with the conference. Okay, I wanted to ask it which tokens will most be used for tokenization. Now, I saw somebody ask Grok this before, and I want to see if it gives the list. Okay,
In the
so
meantime,
Grok,
for those who don't know, RWAs are real world assets. And you know how there's a digital representation of those real world assets, right? So just for those viewers who may not know what RWAs are.
okay, so it kind of gives. Thanks for that one. Kind of gives a list of each chain. So we got Ethereum, Binance, Polkadot, Cardano, and Solana. And then it gives a rundown on each one. Now, I know this isn't exactly what I wanted to know. It doesn't give specifics. But anyway, the post that I saw, somebody asked Grok what they feel, or what Grok feels would be, which tokens would benefit from real world assets and tokenization. And it gave a list. Chainlink was one of them. XRP was one. Ondo was another. Solana, obviously. What was the other one? There's a few more, but anyway. So if you're looking to get into, if you're following narratives and you like to do your crypto trading based on narratives, I think RWAs and tokenization is going to be the next big narrative. Once the altcoin season does resume, or once the bull market does resume, because currently right now, obviously everything's down, sentiment is low, but it'll be interesting to follow. I'm curious to see exactly what BlackRock and Mr. Fink and the rest of them, including Musk and the administration, what they have planned for this part of crypto and what they plan on using it for. Terry, you had mentioned voting. That would be a huge asset to use on the blockchain. There are many others. For example, medical reports or real estate insurances, stuff like that. Could all be used through tokenization on the blockchain. So this emerging technology and this narrative and this niche is going to be interesting to follow to see what comes of it. That's for sure.
Well, I've definitely been a huge proponent for us to tie together real world technologies into digitized forms, and whether it's on the blockchain especially. I'm a huge fan of it, whether you get it on your blockchain to see how many times somebody opened your door, opened the safe, things, Wi-Fi bits. It doesn't matter. The more that people become comfortable understanding the blockchain and understanding how informative it can be, and of course, maybe even a translation tool to make it easier for customers, right? Because right now, if I wanted to look up my own contract, I got to sift through oh my God, it's tough, not easy. It's not broken down like what I can't see individually what I bought. I got to look at certain contracts and understand what I'm looking at, right? So maybe like a quick translation tool would be awesome, right? For the common person. But after that, like once that's done, you'll be able to kind of really see everything on the blockchain, and it's amazing technologies that can really help track and I mean, you can even limit how many things are stolen just with RFID. You can everything can be serialized on the blockchain, and anything that left the building, you know exactly what it left, or which item it was, and where it's going through the RFID technology. So there's a lot of ways we can leverage it. It just takes the right person to take that risk, put it out there, and hopefully not get hammered by the SEC for using the blockchain and tokens to kind of track them, right? So that's going to be interesting. But again, the technology exists. It's doable today, but the risk is maybe right now too great.
Okay.
Yeah, I will agree with you, Juan. I think that, it will take 10 years for us to see it really widely used, because we need to pass regulation. There will be, especially like talking about medical, real estate, it has to be a really solid regulation in place. We have to pass, although people know about the advantages, it's growing knowledge, but still we need to pass lots of knowledge obstacles, to make it a practice. So I don't see RWA used widely and adopted fully really soon in this bull cycle, but I think that this is definitely a great investment as far as to be super early, because it's there. We know that it will be working. There are so many things we can do with this, and it's just perfect for the future.
Okay, sorry, I'm just going to bring this back up real quick. I changed wording. I changed it from will most be used to most benefit from tokenization, and it gave a better list. So real estate tokens would be used, security tokens, art and collectibles, which is right up your alley, Terry and Stylus with the NFTs. Commodities and precious metals, that's a big one. Financial assets like bonds and funds. Intellectual property, which is also another big one. And then, areas that will benefit, there's XRP, HBAR, Algo, XDC, Undo, which I had mentioned. What was the other one? Pax Gold is another one, exactly. So yeah, these are just some of the areas in which tokenization and RWAs will, could make things easier and actually come to light in the real world. So I just wanted to show that before we moved on to the next one. Did anyone else? Sorry, go ahead, Juan.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I'm gonna tell you why none of those assets are gonna be beneficial to anybody. Because this world is built on scheming. It's built on what you don't know. It's always built on what you don't see. And just take a house, for example. Imagine you buy a house, and before you do, all you do is quickly look on the blockchain. And you notice that this house had this issue, had that issue, had this issue. It's immutable. You can't hide it, right? And next thing you know, either you're selling the house for a lot lower because this information is readily available, or you notice that that contract was being hacked. Why? Because again, they didn't want that information out there. But because things are immutable, you're always going to know what's happening. And I think with all those assets you mentioned, the mystique of being able to do these cloak and dagger transactions are going to be now near impossible to execute. And this, unfortunately, capitalism, no, I don't want to use that word. I want to use elite capitalism, thrives on these types of transactions happening in the background, in the shadows. And if everything's seeable at any time, right, I just don't see the people in the know wanting others to know. I just leave that out there for you guys.
Yep, I agree in part, but I also think that it's about time we have something like that, where those undisclosed what ifs and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Are no longer hindering. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and there may be some things that may not be used when it comes to tokenization, like for example, like your example, real estate. But I mean, there are areas of real world where blockchain and tokenization would be a real benefit, and maybe weeding those out from the ones that aren't such a great idea will take a little bit of time, and everything eventually settles for the better, and we'll have to wait and see how that goes. And oh, the other thing I wanted to mention as well with this narrative is it's definitely becoming a real thing because there are a few. Everyone knows Chainlink. Chainlink has been around forever. Undo again, which I know I've mentioned a bunch of times, but only because BlackRock has bought in it, and so has World Financial, Liberty Financial. But they have recently updated their websites and completely overhauled their websites and their brand to reflect tokenization and the real world asset narrative that they are now, all in on. So the change is coming. It's beginning, and it's one of those things where the history is made right before our eyes, and we're watching it develop in real time, which is kind of cool.
I kind of want to add to this that, Juan, it would be absolutely true if market would be a monopoly in everything, in every sphere, but market is competitive. And I think that we will see these assets and this world changing just because there will be competition and companies will be fighting for their audience and for their clients, and bringing clarity, bringing some kind of security to people in terms of buying house, knowing that the data from this blockchain is true, would be something that can be a winning point for certain companies.
The only thing, the only way I position that for you would be more like, you're right. I think competition will always exist, but you also got to look at who the players are, who is actually really competing. Like, a lot of people never even heard of BlackRock and how long they've been around and their assets. Who really competes with them? Just think about that. Like, who really competes with? Not a lot of companies do. So those are the things that I'm talking about. Those things. For people like me and you, yeah, we can compete. We can go buy a house and try to compete at that house, and then a player will come in, and we don't have a shot. Right. So, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, we won't have that disclosure. We won't know why and how we got beat out, just that we did. And the BlackRock and the blockchain, right, illuminates that information for us and illuminates that for the common person. And that's what I think is the biggest fear, in my opinion, of why the technology that exists today isn't being used in this way right now.
Yeah. Well, like we said, buyers love it, sellers not so much. Okay, we're up over an hour. I just want to get the last bit of info from anyone. If anyone has a last comment they'd like to make, I'll start with Terry. Anything you want to add going forward? Anything else on the stream you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just like to say that the resistance to adoption there is because blockchain challenges the legacy systems, right? So they're going to want to fight it, but I think it's inevitable.
Agreed. Juan?
Totally agree. It is inevitable. But again, right, I think that it is going to be set up in a way for it to have backdoors, so we don't know what we need to know. With that being said, I'm bullish for February. I think the crypto space is going to continue its streak for another bullish month. And I expect us to, be in for a great ride in February. And just, again, keep your eyes glued to those charts. The candlesticks tells the story.
Agreed. Well said. And Stylus?
Thank you, guys. You brightened my day and gave me lots of food for thought. I think that we just need to be patient because what we talked today, and Juan, thank you so much for your point about BlackRock. Many people indeed don't know about this company, as well as Vanguard and as well as JP Morgan connection to BlackRock and so on, right? So I think that it's interesting to watch this as a long story and to see how it evolves. As a creator myself, I know that things take a long time to develop, and that will be true for every company, every token, blockchain, and everything. What we see when we see this green candle, it's already a big process behind, unless it's pump the fun, I guess.
That's right. Okay, gentlemen, great stream as always. Juan, thank you as always every week joining me for this stream. And Silas and Terry, thank you for joining us this week. Before we go, I want everyone to know that the link is in the description for the DGen's Crypto Weekly newsletter. Sign up is for free. You get the newsletter emailed to you once a week. and great information in here. They are, what episode are you guys on now? This is weekly, what, 15? 15 now?
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in 15.
So all the
Nice.
Thank you so
information you could ever need when it comes to crypto is in here. Stay up to date and also join their Discord. The link is in the description for that as well. If you do want to buy spot tokens that you won't find on most exchanges and you don't want to do KYC, consider using the Bitunix link in the description. You can also do leverage trading on there. However, with leverage, we don't recommend it. Always trade within your risk profile. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this week, and we'll see you again next week. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.